All right. Well, speaking of transfers, I know there's still a lot of stuff that's going on, and that is going to happen as we get through this summer. And I know you wanted to hit on some, at least the really high profile and interesting ones.
Well, PSG has been the most active team this summer. They've made a lot of moves. They picked up Jorginho Wijnaldum, actually stole him from Barcelona, who thought they had to deal with him. They signed Jorginho Wijnaldum on a free. They signed Sergio Ramos on a free. They signed Donnarumma on a free. And by the way, I keep saying free. They gave these guys pretty big contracts, so a free transfer isn't exactly free. The one guy they paid a big transfer fee for was Achraf Hakimi, who they signed from Inter. All good moves, really improved that team. They're looking like a real force for the Champions League this season. This might be the year finally. However, this is all occurring against the backdrop of the Mbappe situation. He has told them he is not going to sign an extension. He has one more year left. And yet it doesn't sound like they're going to adopt a philosophy of, oh, we might as well get something for him this summer. They're going to hold on to him and exhaust every effort to change his mind to convince him to resign, which might mean losing him for free next summer. I suppose the one club that could withstand that is PSG. So it's going to be fascinating to see how that plays out. I think he does have his heart set on going to Real Madrid, although I wouldn't completely rule out Liverpool, but Real Madrid certainly the favorites there to eventually end up with Mbappe. I mean, what are your thoughts on Sergio Ramos going to PSG? Might that be the kind of player that can finally instill that sort of DNA that's been lacking in that team and maybe get him over the hump in the Champions League?
Yeah. I mean, I still think that Sergio Ramos has plenty of fuel left in the tank. And I think, I think he remains motivated to do something. And look, when he tells you to do something, you do it. And that type of leadership and that type of intensity. And I know at times he's on the edge. At times he's had to learn to control it. But I feel like it's just what the doctor ordered. I like it.
And on the Donnarumma situation, look, it's yet again very harsh on Keylor Navas. But I will say, what PSG are doing here feels less egregious than what Real Madrid did a couple of years ago. First off, while Keylor Navas has been very good with PSG, he hasn't won 3 Champions League titles. He doesn't have the currency of PSG that he had at Real Madrid. And also, Real Madrid bought a goalkeeper at a more advanced age, and Thibaut Courtois. They paid a big transfer fee for him. So it's a little bit different than what's happened here. PSG, this is just an incredible market opportunity that arose to get a kid who's 22 years old, who's going to be the best goalkeeper in the world for the next decade on a free transfer, while Navas is 34. So it's a little bit awkward. It's a bit harsh, but it's not completely ridiculous. You can kind of see why PSG are making this move.
Yeah, I mean, the framing of Navas as this Rodney Dangerfield type of character. I mean, don't cry for Mr. Navas. He's going to be just fine. Don't you worry. I think he would probably tell us the same thing.
And then, there's been this little center back merry-go-round because, I just mentioned, so it began with Upamecano going from Leipzig to Bayern Munich. So Jesse Marsch will have to do without him this upcoming season. And David Alaba went from Bayern to Real Madrid. And Real Madrid, it looks like, are going to lose. Obviously, they've lost Sergio Ramos and Rafael Varane, who it looks like is going to go to Manchester United. So that's been kind of an interesting little center back merry-go-round. And Manchester United, let's go there next. It looks like they're going to complete deals here in the next few days for Jadon Sancho and Rafael Varane. So they're looking to make a real move here. We'll see what City and Chelsea do. The rest of the summer, City have been linked with Harry Kane and Grealish, and Chelsea are trying to get a center forward. First it was Haaland, and now I've even been hearing Lewandowski. So we'll have to wait and see what those two teams do, because they came out of last season looking like the class of English football. But Manchester United at least trying to make a move there to get up into that upper tier. Huh?
So wait, these are the horrible American owners that are getting Varane and Sancho. I just want to make sure these are the same team and same ownership that we're talking about, right? That are going to spend all of this money and go and get these 2 wonderful players to improve their product. And
then another American-owned team, Liverpool, they signed Konate, the other center back from Leipzig. So Jesse Marsch is going to have to rebuild that back line next season. It's been, because of these international tournaments, players kind of wanted to focus on that. So it hasn't been a crazy amount of activity yet, but there's been some interesting stuff that's happened, and I think the next few weeks will be very crazy as well.
Well, let me finish it up here, because for that, the Jadon Sancho thing is fascinating to me. The pathway that he took and how his stardom has been built, because it is the road less traveled for an English player. So now he's returning. He's not necessarily returning a conquering hero, but he's certainly returning with a popularity completely different than when he left. How do you see it going? Because, sometimes that returning doesn't always go the way that you plan. And maybe, the grass is not always greener is what I'm saying.
I am an unabashed Jadon Sancho fan. I understand your concerns, but I think he's going to do great. I think this is a phenomenal move, and I'm salivating over the prospect of Sancho and Rashford and Greenwood. So, I think it's a great signing for Manchester. He came up with
to happen.
He came up with the City youth system, became disenchanted there, left to go to Germany. So it's even more fascinating that he's now chosen to go back, same city, but other club, Manchester United. So he's going to have a point to prove for any of those Manchester derbies.
And part of me also wants it to show that there are different pathways, and that, if you are a young English player, you don't have to be myopic. You don't have to, just simply be focusing on, and I know it's, the most popular league in the world, and some would argue the greatest league in the world, but there are other options. And I think from an English perspective, you want as many different potential options out there as possible for your developing talent. And if you just ignore or don't pay any attention to something like the Bundesliga, I don't think you're necessarily doing yourself or your development any type of favor. So I'll be excited too to see what that happens. Anything else, Mosse?
And then last one, and then we'll move on.
Okay.
Atletico Madrid signed Rodrigo de Paul from Udinese, which is a phenomenal move. We just watched him have a man of the match performance in the Copa America final for Argentina against Brazil, including the contentious assist to Di Maria, which you and Ali Wagner are still arguing about. But perfect Simeone player, great move for them. And we'll see if they end up getting Antoine Griezmann back. They had DePaul. If Griezmann, we know he struggled to adapt to Barcelona, but putting him back at Atletico, if he becomes a player he was with them, boy, Atletico all of a sudden making some really nice moves here. So
that'll be fun. That'll be fun to see them.
You like that clip? Well, my State of the Union podcast drops every week. Subscribe now on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.